Text message arrived while I was chopping onions for dinner. Unknown number, but the words made my knife slip, nearly taking off my fingertip. Ask Sarah about July 15, 1999. Some secrets shouldn't stay buried forever. My name is Lila, and until that moment, I'd been rehearsing how to survive another Friday night dinner with my sister-in-law Sarah. Now, standing in my kitchen with shaking hands, I couldn't stop staring at those words on my phone screen. Everything okay in there? Ben called from the living room. Need any help? I'm fine, I answered, quickly wiping my eyes. The onions made a convenient excuse for the tears threatening to spill. Just fighting with these onions. I heard him chuckle, that warm, familiar sound that usually made everything better. But not tonight. Tonight. Those 12 words on my phone screen had cracked something open inside me, something that had been festering for the past 8 years of marriage into the Emerson family. Sarah. Always Sarah. My husband's older sister, who'd made it her mission to remind me at every opportunity that I wasn't really family. That I didn't belong. That my inability to give Ben children somehow made me less worthy of the Emerson name. I glanced at the clock, 5:45 p.m. We needed to leave in 15 minutes to make it to Harold's house by 6:30. Sarah would already be there, probably arranging the flowers just so. Making sure everything was perfect for her weekly performance of devoted daughter and sister. My phone buzzed again. Same number. Ask her about the letters in the attic. She'll know. Ben, I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. Can you come here for a second? He appeared in the doorway, all 6 feet of calm reliability. What's up? I held out my phone. Someone's trying to tell me something about your sister. Ben's forehead creased as he read the messages. July 15, 1999? That would have been right after her graduation. He handed the phone back, shrugging. Probably just someone trying to cause trouble. You know how Sarah can rub people the wrong way. Oh, I knew. But something about these messages felt different. Specific. Deliberate. Should we ask her about it? I said, watching his face carefully. And start World War III? No thanks. Ben kissed my forehead. Let's just get through dinner. Dad's making his famous pot roast, remember? I nodded, but my mind was already racing ahead to the evening. Harold's house. The attic. The letters. Would Sarah notice if I slipped away during dinner? Would anyone believe me if I found something? We should get going, Ben said, grabbing his keys. You know how Sarah gets if we're late. I followed him to the car, my phone heavy in my pocket. As we backed out of the driveway, another text arrived. Time's running out. She knows you now. My heart skipped. How could Sarah know anything? I hadn't even known until 20 minutes ago. The drive to Harold's house was quiet, Ben humming along to the radio while I watched the familiar streets blur past. 8 years of these Friday dinners. 8 years of Sarah's subtle digs and perfectly timed insults. 8 years of smiling through the pain of her innocent questions about when Ben and I would finally start a proper family. As we pulled up to Harold's Victorian house, I saw Sarah's Mercedes already parked in the driveway. She stood on the porch, arms crossed, watching us arrive. Even from here, I could see her practiced smile, the one that never quite reached her eyes. Ready? Ben squeezed my hand. I nodded, but my phone buzzed one final time. The truth will set you free. But it might destroy her first. Looking up at Sarah's perfectly composed face, I realized something had shifted. For the first time in 8 years, I wasn't walking into her arena as a victim. I was walking in armed with something she didn't want anyone to know. And suddenly, Friday night dinner didn't seem so daunting anymore. Dinner started exactly how I expected, with Sarah's perfectly rehearsed smile and Harold's attempts to keep everyone happy. What I didn't expect was how quickly it would all unravel. Lila, you seem distracted tonight, Sarah said, passing the pot roast. Her voice dripped with artificial concern. Work stress again? It must be so demanding having such a consuming career. I caught the emphasis on consuming. Another dig about my choices, my inability to have children. But tonight, something was different. I noticed a slight tremor in her hand as she set down the serving plate, a tightness around her eyes that wasn't usually there. Actually, I received some interesting messages today, I said, watching her face carefully. About July 1999. Crash of Sarah's wine glass hitting the table made everyone jump. Red wine spread across the white tablecloth like blood, but Sarah didn't move to clean it up. Her face had gone pale. Mom, then her 12-year-old touched her arm. Are you okay? I'm fine, Sarah snapped, then immediately softened. I'm sorry, sweetie. Just clumsy tonight. Harold was already up, dabbing at the mess with his napkin. These things happen. Mark, would you grab some club soda from the kitchen? Mark pushed back from the table, looking between his wife and me with narrowed eyes. He'd been quieter than usual tonight, and I wondered if he knew something too. July 1999, Ben mused, helping his father clean up. Wasn't that when you took that trip to Europe, Sarah? Right after graduation. Sarah's laugh was too sharp, too quick. Ancient history. Who can remember that far back? The attic might remember, I said quietly. The room went still. Sarah's knuckles were white around her fresh wine glass. What exactly are you implying, Lila? Before I could answer, 9-year-old Olivia piped up. Can we look in the attic, Grandpa? Please? I love exploring up there. Not tonight, sweetheart, Harold said firmly. It's much too dusty. Besides, some things are better left alone. He gave me a pointed look that made me wonder if he knew more than he let on. Like some people's personal business? Sarah's voice had turned to ice. Speaking of which, Lila, how are those fertility treatments going? Still no luck? Sarah. Mark's warning came from the kitchen doorway. Not now. But Sarah was on a roll, her fear manifesting as cruelty. I'm just concerned. Ben deserves to have children of his own, doesn't he? A real family. Ben's fork clattered against his plate. That's enough, Sarah. Is it? Sarah stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. Because I think it's time we talked about a lot of things. Like why certain people are digging into ancient history instead of facing their own failures. Mom, please stop, Ethan whispered, looking mortified. I stood up too, my heart pounding. You're right, Sarah. Let's talk about failures. Should we start with the letters, or would you prefer to tell everyone yourself? Color drained from her face. What letters? I don't know yet, I admitted. But someone thinks they're important enough to tell me about them. Important enough to shake you up like this. Sarah grabbed her purse. Mark, we're leaving. Kids, get your coats. Running away again? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Like you did in 1999? Sarah froze, one hand on Olivia's shoulder. For a moment, I saw something crack in her perfect facade, not anger this time, but fear. Real, bone-deep fear. Dad, she said, her voice barely a whisper. You promised no one would ever know. Harold set down his napkin with a heavy sigh. I didn't tell her, Sarah. Tell me what? Ben looked between his father and sister. What's going on? But Sarah was already herding her children toward the door, Mark following with a troubled expression. As they left, my phone buzzed again. The message made my blood run cold. Check the loose floorboard under the window. Sarah's not the only one with secrets. Ask Harold about Elizabeth. I looked up to find Harold staring at me, his face ashen. Who, he asked quietly, has been talking to you? The name Elizabeth hung in the air between us, unspoken but somehow changing everything. After Sarah's dramatic exit, Ben insisted we stay to help Harold clean up. But I had other plans. While they cleared the dining room, I slipped upstairs, my heart thundering with each creaking step. The loose floorboard under the window. 20 years of dust coated everything in the attic, but moonlight streaming through the circular window made the spot easy to find. My fingers trembled as I pried up the weathered wood. I wouldn't do that if I were you. I whirled around. Mark stood in the doorway, his silhouette dark against the dim light from the stairs. Shouldn't you be with Sarah? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Sarah's having one of her moments. The kids are with her mother. He stepped into the attic. I've watched you these past 8 years, taking her jabs, her insults, always being the bigger person. I used to admire that about you. Used to. Until you started poking at things better left buried. He moved closer, and I noticed he was holding something, a manila envelope, yellowed with age. Looking for these? My phone buzzed. Without taking my eyes off Mark, I read the message. Don't trust him. He was there too. What's in the envelope, Mark? Letters. Photos. Proof that some mistakes can't be undone. He sighed heavily. Did you know Sarah was pregnant in 1999? The revelation hit me like a physical blow. What? Not mine, of course. We hadn't met yet. It was someone else's. Someone married. He tapped the envelope against his palm. Harold paid for everything, the trip to Europe, the procedure, the silence. But Elizabeth, she wouldn't stay quiet. Elizabeth, the name from the text message. Who is she? Was, Mark corrected softly. She was the wife. Found out about Sarah and her husband. Threatened to expose everything. He paused, looking at me with something like pity. She died in a car accident 3 months later. Very tragic. Very convenient. Footsteps on the stairs made us both turn. Harold appeared, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Mark, he said wearily, that's enough. Is it? Mark's laugh was bitter. Because I've spent 12 years watching my wife destroy herself with guilt while you all pretend nothing happened. And now Lila's getting anonymous texts? Someone knows, Harold. Someone always knows. My phone buzzed again. Ask about the brake lines. The implications made me feel sick. Harold? It wasn't supposed to happen like that, Harold whispered. We just wanted to talk to her, make her understand what exposure would do to everyone involved. Sarah was just a kid who made a mistake. A mistake. Mark's voice rose. A woman died. No one can prove that, Harold snapped, then caught himself. Lila, please. Whatever you think you know, I know enough. My voice shook. Does Ben know any of this? Know what? Ben stood on the stairs, looking between the three of us with growing confusion. Behind him, I could see Sarah, her face tear-stained but determined. Tell him, she said quietly. Tell him everything, Dad. I'm tired of running. Harold sank onto an old trunk, the weight of 20 years of secrets visible in the slump of his shoulders. Son, sit down. There's something you need to know about the summer after your sister graduated. Actually, I interrupted, holding up my phone, there's something you all need to know. I turned to Sarah, whose face had gone pale again. The texts aren't just about you. Someone knows everything about Elizabeth, about the accident, about all of it. And they're not going to stay quiet much longer. My phone buzzed one final time that night. Good girl. Now watch them burn. Looking at their faces, Harold's guilt, Mark's bitterness, Sarah's fear, and Ben's growing horror, I realized I'd gotten exactly what I thought I wanted. Perfect revenge against Sarah, served on a silver platter by an anonymous ally. But as Ben sank onto the stairs, his world visibly crumbling, I wondered if revenge was worth the cost of destroying the family I'd fought so hard to be part of. The real question was, could I stop what I'd set in motion even if I wanted to? Ben hadn't spoken to me since we left his father's house. 3 days of silence, broken only by the sound of him pacing late at night, muttering to himself about brake lines and covered-up pregnancies. I'd created this mess, and now I had no idea how to fix it. My phone lit up with another message. Time to finish what we started. Elizabeth's daughter wants to meet you. I nearly dropped the phone. Elizabeth had a daughter? Before I could process this, another text arrived with an address and a time. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Come alone. Who keeps texting you? I jumped. Ben stood in the doorway of our home office, his face haggard from lack of sleep. I don't know, I admitted. But they know everything, Ben. About Sarah, about Elizabeth. Stop. He held up his hand. Just stop. Do you have any idea what you've done to my family? Your family? The words stung more than I expected. After 8 years, I thought it was our family. Was it? Or were we just your project? Your chance to play detective and get back at Sarah for all those comments about. He caught himself, but the unspoken word hung between us. Infertility. My failure. My phone buzzed again. Ben's jaw tightened. You should go. What? To your meeting tomorrow. Go meet Elizabeth's daughter. Finish burning down what's left of my family's reputation. It's what you wanted, isn't it? Before I could answer, his phone rang. Sarah's name flashed on the screen. He answered it, turning away from me. Sarah, slow down. What do you mean Mark's gone? His shoulders tensed. When did he take the kids? Have you called Mom's house? I watched my husband transform into someone else, someone harder, more distant. When he hung up, he wouldn't look at me. Mark left with the kids, he said flatly. Apparently, he's been gathering evidence for months. Recordings, old documents, photos. He's threatening to go to the police about Elizabeth's accident unless Sarah signs away custody. He wouldn't he? You saw him in the attic. He's been waiting years for this. Ben finally met my eyes. And you gave him the perfect opportunity. My phone lit up again. Ask Ben about the insurance policy. Elizabeth's death made someone very rich. I showed Ben the message. His face went pale. Dad cashed in a life insurance policy, he whispered. A big one. I helped him invest the money when I first started at the firm. I never knew. He sank into a chair. Oh God, what did they do? The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Through the front window, I saw Harold standing on our porch, looking older than ever. Don't, Ben said when I moved to answer it. Please. I can't handle any more revelations tonight. But Harold had a key. We heard the door open, followed by his heavy footsteps. Benjamin? Lila. His voice carried up the stairs. We need to talk. Elizabeth's daughter. She's not just anyone. She's your granddaughter, I finished, the pieces finally clicking into place. Sarah's baby didn't die in Europe, did she? Elizabeth adopted her. Harold's silence was answer enough. Ben made a sound like he'd been punched. That's why Elizabeth threatened to expose everything, I continued, the horrible truth unfolding. Not because of the affair, but because you were trying to take her daughter back. Sarah's daughter. And when she wouldn't give her up. My phone buzzed one final time that night. Now you understand. Tomorrow you'll meet your niece. Choose your next moves carefully. I looked at Ben, saw the devastation in his eyes, and realized I'd gone too far. In my quest for revenge against Sarah, I'd uncovered something far darker than family spite. This wasn't about petty insults anymore. This was about murder, theft, and a child caught in the middle. The question was, what would that child want from us now? Cafe was exactly where the text said it would be, a quiet place on the edge of town, far from prying eyes. I arrived early, watching each person who walked through the door, wondering which one was Elizabeth's daughter. My niece. The thought made my hands shake. A young woman with Sarah's eyes slid into the seat across from me. You must be Aunt Lila. Rachel. The name felt strange on my tongue, this person who had existed in shadows until now. Actually, it's Grace. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Grace Elizabeth Chen. Mom, my real mom, she gave me that name before they killed her. My phone buzzed. Grace pulled out her own phone, showing me the screen. The same message appeared on both. The players are all here. Let the truth come out. You've been sending the texts, I said. Not exactly. She stirred her untouched coffee. Let's just say I have a friend who's very good at uncovering secrets. Like the fact that Harold Emerson took out a life insurance policy on my mother 3 months before her accident. Cafe door chimed. Sarah walked in, stopping dead when she saw us. Her face went white. Right on time, Grace said softly. I told her if she didn't come, I'd go straight to the police. Sarah approached our table like a woman walking to her execution. Grace, please. Sit down, birth mother. Grace's voice could have frozen hell. We're going to have a little family reunion. My phone buzzed again. Watch carefully. Everyone lies. I never wanted any of this, Sarah whispered, sinking into a chair. You have to believe me. The accident wasn't an accident, Grace cut in. Mom was going to expose everything, the affair, the pregnancy, how Harold threatened her to give me up. So they cut her brake lines. Isn't that right, Sarah? Sarah's hands trembled as she reached for her purse. She pulled out an old envelope, weathered and torn at the edges. I kept these. All these years I kept them. Your mother's letters to me, begging me to let her keep you, telling me what a wonderful baby you were. Stop. Grace's composure cracked slightly. You don't get to play the remorseful mother now. I didn't know what Dad was planning, Sarah continued desperately. I swear, I thought he was just going to talk to her. When I found out what he'd done, you took the money anyway, Grace snapped. Built your perfect life with your perfect family while my mother rotted in the ground. My phone. Ask about Mark? Where is Mark really? I asked Sarah. Did he actually take the kids, or is that just another lie? Sarah's face crumpled. He's gathering evidence. Against Dad. Against all of us. He says he's doing it for the children. To protect them from our family's poison. Smart man, Grace said coldly. Smarter than my father was. Tell me, does your precious daddy know I'm his granddaughter twice over? That his son was the married man you seduced? The revelation hit me like a physical blow. I looked at Sarah, saw the truth in her face. Ben's brother, the one who died in a hunting accident the same year Sarah went to Europe. My phone buzzed one last time. Now you know everything. What will you do with the truth? Grace stood, dropping a thick manila envelope on the table. Police reports. Insurance documents. Mom's letters. Everything they need to reopen the case. Choice is yours, Aunt Lila. You wanted revenge against Sarah? Here it is. Just remember, burning down this house will scorch everyone inside it. She walked out, leaving Sarah and me staring at the envelope between us. 20 years of secrets, lies, and murder, all wrapped up in manila paper. What are you going to do? Sarah whispered. I thought about Ben, about Harold, about the family I'd wanted so desperately to be part of. About revenge and justice and the thin line between them. My hand hovered over the envelope as my phone screen lit up with one final message. Choose wisely. Some fires can't be put out. I took the envelope. Sarah didn't try to stop me. The weight of it in my hands felt like a loaded gun, one pointed at everyone I loved. Back home, Ben was waiting. One look at my face and he knew. You met her, didn't you? Elizabeth's daughter. Your niece, I said quietly. Your brother's daughter. He sank onto the couch, head in his hands. James. Of course it was James. His voice cracked. The hunting accident. Dad always said it was strange how the gun just went off. My phone buzzed. Grace, time's up. If you won't do it, I will. She's going to the police, I told Ben. About Elizabeth's murder, the insurance money, everything. Mark's already gathering evidence. Evidence of what exactly? Harold's voice made us both jump. He stood in our doorway, looking somehow both frail and dangerous. The past should stay buried, Lila. Some truths only destroy. Like the truth about James's accident? The words came out before I could stop them. Harold's face hardened. You have no idea what I've done to protect this family. Protect? Ben stood up. You killed James, didn't you? Your own son. And Elizabeth. All to keep your precious reputation intact. I did what was necessary. Harold's voice was ice. And I'll do it again if I have to. My phone, he's already done it again. Check the news. With trembling fingers, I pulled up the local news website. The headline made my blood freeze. Local businessman Mark Whitaker found dead in apparent suicide. Oh, God. I looked at Harold. What did you do? What I've always done. He pulled out a gun, small, efficient, deadly. Clean up my children's messes. Ben stepped between us. Dad, put the gun down. I can't do that, son. Lila knows too much. Grace knows too much. Sometimes pruning the family tree is the only way to save it. My phone buzzed one last time. Run! I bolted for the back door, hearing Ben struggle with his father behind me. A shot rang out. Something crashed. I didn't look back. Sarah was waiting in her car around the corner, engine running. Get in. Mark. Wasn't suicide. I know. Her eyes were red but determined. He was going to expose everything. About James, Elizabeth, all of it. Dad found out. Another shot echoed from the house. Sarah flinched but didn't move. We have to help Ben, I said. Ben's dead. Grace's voice came from the back seat, making me jump. Just like my mother. Just like my father. Just like Mark. The Emerson family tree is rotted to the core. My phone lit up with a final message, but this time from Harold's number. You should have left well enough alone, Lila. Now I have to finish what I started 20 years ago. Sarah's hands tightened on the wheel. He'll never stop. He'll kill us all to keep his secrets. Then we stop him first, Grace said coldly. I've got everything we need right here. She patted a laptop bag. Every murder, every cover-up, every penny of blood money. One call to my contact at the FBI and it's over. Ben, my voice broke. I couldn't finish the thought. Is alive, Grace said quietly. For now. Dad's taking him to the lake house, where he took my father 20 years ago. Sarah started the car. We have one chance to end this. To save what's left of our family. Family? I laughed bitterly. Is that what we are? We're what's left, Grace said. The survivors. The ones who know the truth. My phone buzzed one final time. Harold again. Come alone to the lake house, Lila. Or Ben joins his brother. I looked at Sarah, then at Grace in the rearview mirror. 3 women bound by secrets, lies, and murder. Each of us had wanted revenge, but now we were fighting for something else. Survival. Drive, I told Sarah. We're ending this tonight. The sun was setting as we headed toward the lake house, toward Harold, toward whatever darkness waited for us there. I'd wanted revenge, but I'd gotten something far more dangerous, the truth. And the truth, I was learning, had teeth. The lake house loomed against the darkening sky, a shadow of my husband's childhood summers turned nightmare. Harold's car sat in the gravel driveway, but the house was dark. Silent. He's waiting for you, Sarah whispered from behind the wheel. Grace checked her phone. FBI's 20 minutes out. You just need to keep him talking. I stepped out of the car, the manila envelope heavy in my hands. The gravel crunched under my feet as I approached the front door. It swung open before I could touch it. Just you, Harold called from inside. Or Ben dies first. I entered the darkness, my eyes struggling to adjust. The smell hit me first, copper and gunpowder. My foot touched something wet. Careful, Harold's voice came from the shadows. Ben's making quite a mess. A lamp clicked on. Ben lay on the floor, blood seeping from his shoulder. His eyes met mine, trying to tell me something. The envelope, Harold said. On the table. I placed it down, keeping my phone hidden in my pocket. It's over, Harold. Mark sent copies of everything to the FBI before you killed him. Killed him. Harold stepped into the light, gun steady in his hand. Mark committed suicide. Just like James did. Just like Elizabeth did. Just like you're going to do. After finding out the truth about your family, I kept my voice steady. About how you murdered your own son to keep his affair with Sarah quiet? I protected this family. The gun shook slightly. James was weak. Elizabeth was a threat. And you? He smiled coldly. You're just another loose end. Like Grace. I saw the flicker of confusion cross his face. Elizabeth's daughter. Sarah's daughter. James's daughter. Your granddaughter twice over. A floorboard creaked behind Harold. He spun around as Grace stepped from the shadows, holding Mark's old service weapon. Hello, grandfather. Impossible, Harold whispered. The baby died in Europe. The baby was given to her real mother, Sarah said, appearing from the kitchen. The woman you murdered to keep your precious secrets. Harold's gun wavered between us. I did everything for this family. You did everything for yourself, Ben spoke, his voice weak but clear. To protect your reputation. Your legacy. A legacy built on blood, Grace said. But it ends tonight. Harold laughed, a broken, hollow sound. You think you can stop me? I've buried better secrets than you. Not this time. I pulled out my phone, showing him the live stream. Everything you just said? It's being broadcast to the FBI task force. The one Mark contacted before you killed him. Sirens wailed in the distance. Harold's face twisted with rage. The gun swung toward me. 2 shots rang out simultaneously. Harold stumbled, red blooming across his chest. Grace stood with her father's gun still raised, tears streaming down her face. That's for my parents. But Harold wasn't finished. As he fell, his finger tightened on the trigger. I felt the bullet's heat pass my ear, heard Sarah's scream, saw Ben lunge despite his wound. The 3rd shot came from Sarah. Harold's gun clattered to the floor as he collapsed. Dad! Sarah's voice shook. Daddy! Harold looked up at his children, the ones he'd tried to control, the ones he'd broken trying to protect. I just wanted us to stay together. He was dead before the FBI breached the door. Later, as the paramedics worked on Ben and the FBI took our statements, Grace approached me. Thank you, she said quietly, for helping me find the truth. I wanted revenge, I admitted. Against Sarah, against all of them. I never imagined that revenge would give you a family. She smiled sadly. Maybe that's the real legacy Harold left us. The truth that brought us together, even as his lies tore us apart. Sarah joined us, watching the coroner's van drive away. What happens now? Now, I said, we try to heal. Together. My phone buzzed one final time. Unknown number. The truth will set you free. But first, it will shatter everything you thought you knew. I deleted the message, watching Ben being loaded into the ambulance. Sometimes I realized the family you find in the ashes of revenge is stronger than the one that burned. 6 months after Harold's death, we gathered at the lake house again. Not to bury secrets this time, but to heal them. Ben's shoulder had healed cleanly. Sarah had moved in with her kids temporarily while dealing with Mark's estate. And Grace? Grace had become the bridge none of us expected, connecting the broken pieces of our family with a strength that reminded me of Elizabeth. The renovations are almost done, Ben said, watching Ethan and Olivia skip stones across the lake. Grace thinks we should turn it into a summer home for all of us. All of us. I looked at him, surprised. Family is family, Sarah said, joining us on the deck. Even the parts we tried to forget. She'd changed these past months. The sharp edges had softened, though the grief still showed in quiet moments. Mark's death had been ruled a murder, Harold's actions exposed. The truth had cost us dearly, but the price of secrets had been higher. Grace emerged from the house carrying a box. Found these in the attic. I think it's time we looked through them properly. Inside were photos, letters, memories Harold had tried to bury. James and Sarah as teenagers. Elizabeth holding baby Grace. Mark's police academy graduation. My wedding to Ben. A family built on love and lies now being rebuilt on truth. Mom, Olivia picked up a photo of Elizabeth. Was she my sister too? Sarah's hands trembled as she took the photo. No, sweetheart. But she gave us Grace. And that makes her family. Family's complicated, Ethan said with the wisdom of his 12 years. But that's okay, right? Right, Ben squeezed my hand. Sometimes the best families are the ones we choose to keep, even after we know all their secrets. My phone buzzed, the first time in months. Unknown number, the truth set you free. But freedom comes with responsibility. I showed it to Grace. She smiled sadly. My contact at the FBI. They found more of Dad's files. About other families, other secrets he helped bury. That's not our burden, Sarah said firmly. We've paid our price for truth. But had we? I looked at our gathered family, the survivors, the truth seekers, the healers. We'd wanted justice, sought revenge, and found something more complicated: understanding. Actually, I said slowly, maybe it is our responsibility. Not to expose the secrets, but to help those families heal. Like we're healing. Ben nodded. The Emerson Foundation for Family Reconciliation, using Dad's blood money to help other families buried under secrets. Mom, Olivia tugged at Sarah's sleeve. Can we have dinner here every Friday? Like before, but better. Sarah looked at me, then at Grace. 20 years of bitterness dissolved in a single moment of clarity. Yes, she said. Better. As the sun set over the lake, we sat down to our first proper family dinner in the renovated house. No secrets, no lies, no hidden agendas. Just people who'd chosen to remain family even after seeing the worst in each other. My phone buzzed one final time. Every ending is just another beginning. Watch for the signs. I deleted the message without sharing it. Some mysteries were better left for another day. Tonight was for healing, for family, for the quiet victory of truth over secrets. Grace raised her glass. To Elizabeth and Mark, she said softly, who gave their lives for the truth. To James, Sarah added, her voice steady, who loved too deeply and paid the price. To Harold, Ben said, surprising us all, who taught us how not to protect a family. I looked around the table, at Ben's quiet strength, Sarah's hard-won wisdom, Grace's fierce loyalty, and the children who would grow up knowing both the cost and value of truth. To us, I said finally, the family we chose to become. As we ate, laughed, and shared stories both painful and healing, I realized that revenge hadn't given me what I wanted. The truth had. And sometimes the truth was both the wound and the medicine, the poison and the cure. The lake house lights reflected on the water like stars, guiding us home to each other, one honest moment at a time.